Let me start with something you've probably seen too. Students who can say words like apple, blue, run, but freeze when you ask them to use those words in a sentence. And this is what I see in so many learners today. They say they're afraid to speak English. But really? They're just missing the skill of putting words into sentences. They know the bricks, but no one taught them how to build. And here's the thing. Language isn't just words. Language is words and sentences. Sentences that carry meaning, that connect, that communicate. So when I opened my own ESL school, I made a promise to myself. I will not give my students any word lists to memorize. Instead, I decided that we are going to start with sentences from day one. Because language isn't meant to be memorized like math facts or vocabulary lists. It's meant to be used to ask questions, to share ideas, and have real conversations. And here's why that matters. Our brains aren't built to memorize random words. We're wired for meaning. When we hear or say something in context, like a full sentence, it actually sticks. Our brain connects it to memory, emotion, real-life situations. That's so powerful. Our brains love patterns. Just think about it. Babies don't learn language with single words. They learn through everyday moments. From hearing, "Do you want your cup at breakfast?" Or "Let's go outside" before a walk. And these are full sentences, not just words. And that's how you learn a language. That's how it starts to stick. And the research actually backs this up. Students remember words much better when they're part of real sentences or stories, not just memorized from a list. And the goal itself is not to know words, but to know sentences. And obviously, learning through sentences helps us remember better. Because remember, language is not a math. We're not here to learn facts. We're here to learn patterns. We want to make sure that we're teaching them how to say things in a way that sounds natural, like real people talk. Not textbook English, but everyday usable language. Because we want them to learn how to think in English. So they don't need words. They need ways to use the words they already know. And how does that happen? It happens through exposure to real sentences. So, what teaching sentences looks like in real life? It's actually simpler than you might think. Because kids want to speak. We as human beings are wired to speak. So we just need to give the kids proper tools. So you start with short, powerful sentence frames they can actually use. For example, I like, this is a, can I see a, it's a. We introduce structure and vocabulary together. So when they learn apple, they don't just learn the word. They learn to say something with it. I like apples. This is a red apple. Can I have an apple? They're not just learning vocab, they're learning how to use sentences to communicate. And that's the best way to build that skill. And so, how do we do it? Obviously, we need to do it through practice, and that practice needs to be real, powerful, and sentence-based, obviously. Everything needs to be sentence-based because that's how language functions. In sentences, in chunks, not in words. And so, how do we practice? So, important element is that we always try to make it fun because these are kids. So, every activity needs to be built around complete sentences. So, students practice using the language in a way that actually sticks, and it needs to be gamified. So, and the games that we like to use for that purpose are, number one, sentence bingo. So we play a game inspired by bingo, a very simple classroom activity where each student has a card filled with pictures. Instead of just calling out a word like banana, the teacher says a full sentence, "Who likes bananas?" or "Who has a dog?" If a student has that picture on their card, they respond by saying the full sentence, obviously. So for example, "I have a dog," or "I like bananas." Only after saying the sentence can they mark the picture on their card. It's a playful way to get them repeating full sentences naturally. And that's the clue here. Again and again without ever feeling like this is a chore. Okay? Another go-to in my classroom is a classic memory matching game. Just like with bingo, the focus once again is on full sentences. And I want to just like repeat that again. Full sentences are key here, okay? We obviously adjust the level depending on where the students are. So we have memory games where we have picture to picture matching, or picture to text matching, text to text, or picture with text to same. Every time they make a match, they say the sentence out loud, and it turns the quiet game into a fun speaking focused activity. But what you have to remember, you will have students who will not be able to say the sentence, so you just model the sentence and then they repeat after you. Then there's another favorite, I have, who has. So it's a very classic classroom game, and obviously it already contains the full sentence that we need. Each student has a card that includes two parts, a sentence that starts with I have and then there's a picture, and one that asks who has and then there's a picture. So for example, I have a red apple. Who has a green frog? The next student responds, I have a green frog. Who has a yellow bus? And it continues around the class. So every student gets to practice the sentence, the complete sentence. And that's the whole point of this activity, for them to use sentences. We also use simple board games, but always with complete sentences. Why am I repeating this again? Because this is very crucial. Today in this video, we're talking about building sentences with the students. When a student lands on a square or picks a card, they don't just say the word, they build a sentence around it. For example, land on a picture of a plane, you have to say, oh, I see a plane. Or flip a card with a girl eating, you have to say, she is eating an ice cream. Great! It turns a basic game into real conversation practice. Then role plays. So this is where we step into everyday situations, because role play gives kids a chance to use their sentences in context, like they would in real life. Let's say at the market, where they would say, can I have an apple? Or at a birthday party, I like my cake. Or in the classroom, this is my pencil case, right? So here is not just pretending. It's structured practice with a purpose. They're learning how to speak naturally in the kinds of situations they'll face outside the classroom. For digital learning, we love to use a word wall. And we always, just like I said, we want to make sure that each of the games that we create within the wordwall.com are focused on sentence practice. And there's like tons of different game templates that you can then use to create the practice your students actually need. And nobody pays me for that, honestly. Wordwall is like, oh, it's a game changer. It really is. So in my classroom, we like to use the tablets. So students use the tablets, or we use the screen for that purpose. And then another pillar of this method is stories, but not random ones. We use carefully chosen or written stories, the ones that I write myself, that build sentences through repetition and context. And the goal here with the stories isn't just to enjoy reading, which is enjoyable usually, but it's internalize sentence structure, and that's really important. So for example, Shopping Gone Wrong, one of our core stories, where kids follow a fun plot while learning shopping phrases, right? Can I help you? I'd like to buy. So the story teaches full structure through action. Or my household chores story, which focuses on likes, loves, hates plus ing form. I love washing the dishes. I hate sweeping the floor. It's real vocab inside real feelings expressed in real sentences, right? Or ABC book that contains simple, repetitive, and effective sentences. Anna is an ant. Adam is an albatross. Adam likes apples. Adam doesn't like ants. So this is really great for sentence patterns and subject-verb agreement. And that's so cool. And you do that through the story. Or we have this really popular story, which is the Instant Wins Spanish story, or Charlie the Copycat, which contains repetitive, rhythmic, and predictable language. And these stories really do help students absorb sentence structure until it actually sticks. And the best part, we're not asking kids to memorize any grammar rules. We're just giving them stories that already carry the sentence structure we want to teach. Stories that do the grammar work for us, pretty much. And they're not just decoding words, they're absorbing how English works through use and not through explanation, because that's not how a language works. Language is not grammar. Language is not maths. Language is language. If I want to study grammar, yes, I can, but after I have mastered language. So then question is, okay, so I'm going to give them these sentence frames. So how is it going to grow in complexity? As students actually get more comfortable, we simply build on what they already know. Teaching in sentences doesn't end with the basics. Obviously, we just want them to progress. So it actually grows with them. So there will be no need for complicated grammar charts or anything like that. You just take a simple sentence and stretch it a little at a time. We might start with, for example, I like apples. And then you gently build, I like apples because they are sweet. Cool. Or I like apples, but I love strawberries. Or even though I like apples, I don't eat them every day. We model it. We build it together, and we give them space to try. Over time, those small steps add up, and suddenly they're speaking in full, expressive thoughts. Sometimes really all it takes is 10 solid sentence frames to unlock a whole world of language. But not always. That's like a topic for another video. So, if you're an ESL teacher wondering how to help your students speak with confidence, start here. Don't just teach words. Teach sentences they can use. Wrap those sentences in games, stories, and real-life context like role plays. So remember, you don't need more vocab lists. You just need to give them the structure they require, the repetition they need, and the meaning. So thank you very much for watching. If this approach resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What's the first sentence you want your students to learn? And hey, if you want ready-made storybooks, ready-made games, ready-made worksheets, check the link below. I've got you covered. Let's build confident speakers one real sentence at a time. Thank you very much. Happy teaching, my friends.